Hi.
Welcome to this live event. Welcome to this live event by Myra and Jason, where we're going to be taking spiritual questions and talking about what's going on in the world of spirituality today.
All right, good. Let's see if I can see if there's anybody here.
We are coming to you live from Sedona, Arizona, which is here in our background. Such a beautiful place to be, really high energy.
All right. Is anybody there? Anybody joining us currently or anybody have any questions? Go ahead and just type them in and just let us know.
Until we start to get a couple of questions, we're actually going to go through some topics that have been coming up for both of us, along with our spiritual journey that we've been having, and then questions that we have about these topics as well. What topic do you want to start with first?
Well, let's start with talking about just some easy stuff. So a lot of people have questions sort of about what should I eat, what shouldn't I eat, what's good, what's bad. Do we, they all these things that make us sort of feel guilty and bad about ourselves as we're trying to adjust to this new way to increase our energy availability within our bodies, so that we can integrate these activations and upgrades and our crystalline light bodies. So we just recently were going through some of this stuff ourselves, where for one of our classes we were asked to make sure not to eat anything white and no sugar and no alcohol and try not to eat too much meat, um, and then we sort of it's hard because it's a change, and then when you do eat those something that maybe goes against it, you get this sort of sense of, am I doing this wrong, and you start beating yourself up, and we don't want to do that. We want to be soft, we want to be flexible with ourselves. But some general guidelines to follow is, we want to increase our water consumption, first and foremost. We really should be trying to drink about 2, 3, 4 liters of water a day. These new energies that are coming in from the sun are massive, and a lot of us are going through a lot of different ascension symptoms and everything else with it. And the most important thing we need to do is just stay hydrated. We're water and we're crystalline light, and so just making sure to increase and drink a lot of water is the first and foremost type thing.
I completely agree. Water makes up so much of our body. And so, if we're putting good water into our body, it can not only help our energy, but it also helps our body process everything that's going on, whether it's sunlight or food or toxins. It moves through the body a little bit faster if you have a lot of water and then if you have the right kind of water, too. One thing that we've been trying to do is actually co-create water structures within us. So as we're drinking our water, bringing in water that is already harmonized and has sacred geometry in it, because as we've been finding out in research, this water that is has beautiful sacred geometry in it, it can help our body even more than other water. A lot of the experiments that's been done is singing to your water, humming to your water, and I've also seen counter experiments where people yell at their water to see if that impacts it as well. And it really does. It makes a big difference. Now, one other thing that we've been doing is using sacred geometry, and we actually put this underneath our water to change what is actually going in and helping the water. So go ahead.
Yeah, so we ordered these crop circle cards online, which are really, really cool, and they all have different healing properties and different properties. And so what I do is I go through and I like to lay them all out, and then I run my hand over them, and I sort of see which ones call out to me. So which one feels just a little bit different, that's letting me know what I need at that time. And then I like to just put them in little plastic bags or in a little plastic protector or get them laminated. Eventually would be a good idea. And it's amazing if you put this under your water and you let your water sit on it, every water tastes different. Some are like have this little zippy to it, and some feel soft, and they all have this different energy feel. It also helps to purify and clean your water. It helps to get rid of the fluoride in the water. So it does all of these amazing properties to the water, but you can actually taste the difference. So if you do like 3 of them, because we usually have 3 water bottles always sitting around. And it's funny because you can actually like taste test them, and each one tastes completely different. It's really fascinating. So I highly recommend them. These are called the Corn Circle cards, but really cool stuff. And again, this will transform your water and help you to also bring in the energy that your body's needing at that moment for whatever it's calling for. And again, each one will has different properties, and you'll know, you'll be called to it. Trust that intuition, trust your energy sensors, however you sort of tune into these types of things.
The neat thing about this is we recently just got some water that wasn't very good. It would bubble when you would pour it. It looked like soap almost. It tasted awful. And so we did this experiment with crop circles where we put them all out and put water bottles on them. And we actually found one that made the water drinkable. It was pretty amazing to see the impact of this. And I've seen other spiritual groups make stickers out of sacred geometry or out of slogans and words like "I love my water."
I am all that I am is a super powerful one. Yeah, so I like the idea of making some decals of certain ones that you know are purifying for your water and putting them on all of your water bottles. That's what I would like to have made at some point in time.
Me too. If this strikes a chord with you and you would like this as well, let us know and we'll get some printed up and put them on the website, and that way people can help energize their water.
Yeah, and so going on with diet, it's important to try to avoid sugar. Sugar's been so implanted into our diet in almost everything that we eat, and so we want to try to minimize the amount of sugars that we take. That one's pretty straightforward for lots of good reasons. The other general rule is try to avoid things that are white. So whether that's white rice, it's rice in general, especially things with gluten. So, certainly there's people who are gluten sensitive or gluten intolerant, and that's great. Luckily, these days we have a ton of food choices that are available to us when we step into the grocery stores. But really, gluten just sort of glues up our system, and it's not really that healthy for us. And so, I was always, ate bread, ate things, but I've changed now recently to buying, a lot of different gluten-free products, and can definitely tell the difference in the system and energy uptake in the body. And our bodies are designed to eat a lot of different types of protein. And so certainly there's people whose bodies are going to resonate more with being vegan, other people's bodies who actually do better with animal proteins. We're all unique individuals, and it's important to recognize that. And not all every diet and every guideline is perfect for each person. You have to listen to what your body. There's different energy requirements throughout this that come in, and there's times where your body's going to say, I need something, an animal protein to eat, or it's going to say, I don't like that anymore, and I've been eating meat forever, and and suddenly one day you're like, I can't do it. Respect those choices within yourself, or those notions within yourself, and listen to what your body's telling you. We recently watched the video, and it definitely, I had more hesitations on meat because I've heard a lot of things go back and forth. And so I think it's important to realize, yes, it is okay to eat fish. It's okay to eat meat. It's okay to eat products. I do think it's a good idea to give thanks to the process and to the animal and to the being, as you're eating these types of things, and to all of the energy that went into creating that for you to put into your system. So I think it's more important to have the gratitude, but everything in moderation. I think it's more important though to try to avoid the whites, try to avoid the sugar, try to really limit the alcohol. There's a reason it's called spirits. It invites in lower energies into our bodies, and right now we're really trying hard to focus on elevating our energies.
That's
Yeah.
perfect. And just a few other things about, eating outside of wheat and bread. There's so many other things out there that we can eat. We can eat leafy greens. We can eat vegetables. We don't need to have a sandwich every day. Along those lines, we're individuals and we're all unique, which means our diets are unique as well. And you might be asking yourself, well, how do I know? How do I know what's good for me? What is best in my diet? So, just a quick technique that I'd like to kind of go over with everyone. And this works with any substance. This happens to be peach tea. But what you can do is you can do a pendulum or a human pendulum where you actually hold a food product right in
Mm.
front of your chest,
Hmm.
hold it close in front of you, and then just take a breath and kind of connect with whatever you're thinking about eating. And what you'll find is it'll either pull you forward or the food will push you away so that you are the human pendulum. If you have a tomato, put it in front of you, hold it,
Right.
and see if your body is craving that, or a steak,
Yeah.
or
Ask.
seasonings.
Yeah. I always hold it and you ask, is this something that I want right now or that my body is needing right now? And again, you can do an experiment and hold an orange and hold a piece of candy or, something else. And you can definitely feel it. It's a really cool way to just easily tune into your body. And it's something that everybody can do. But you just have to come into your heart and again, try to connect to that. And then just ask, is this something I need? And then again, your body will sway, and sometimes it's a neutral. I get like a sideways sway. It says, it's okay. Or you get two yeses, do I want the grape juice or apple juice or something? And, whatever you're trying to sort through. But it's a good way to let your body guide you. And it's also a good way to sort of tap into your own energy, especially when you're new and starting out at this. It's a fun technique that sort of gives you a little bit of empowerment. Which is always good as we're trying to sort of tune in and see what our gifts and abilities and things are.
Yeah, it really empowers you. Granted, the first couple of times you go to the grocery stores, it'll add a lot of time to your shopping if you're really getting in tune with it. But our bodies don't change quickly when it comes to diet. So you can do this every couple of weeks or months and just recheck in with what your body wants, or you can do it every meal as well. It's a really easy practice and technique for figuring out what your body wants.
Yeah. Anybody have any questions on dietary stuff or any questions there? If not, we'll move on to the next topic.
My body's craving this peach tea, so I'm going to go with it.
Good. All right. I would like to talk about the importance of words. This whole journey is a challenging one and is so full of ups and downs, and we're not really sure, when things start happening. How this all works. There's not really handbooks and guidebooks, and there's not, there's getting more and more information, but it's a bit of a mystery. And one of the biggest things that helped me last year that really catapulted my awareness was learning the value of the words that we use with ourselves. And so every word creates our reality, and I mean every word. And it takes a lot of practice to learn how to undo how we've been talking and being for all of our life. Whether we've been here for 20 years or 40 years or 70 years, any amount of time frame, these things are pretty ingrained to us. It's how we've communicated our entire life. But every word shapes our reality, and so we want to be cautious and aware. And when we start becoming aware, then we start to create new patterns within ourselves, and each time it gets easier and we start finding ourselves doing something less. So it's not even the words that we speak, it's every word that enters into your head.
And that's really the key, is because when we speak, what we're doing is we are projecting what our mind is thinking. So our words are projections of our thoughts. So if our thoughts are negative, our words are negative. If our thoughts are positive, our words are negative. So as we start the spiritual transformation, we want to change our words because that'll change our thoughts as well. That means our words have to be authentic. They have to be honest. They have to represent our mind and what we're actually thinking so that we can start to change those frameworks and change those patterns so that we speak from our highest self.
Yeah. One of the best tools I found is there's a program, Christy Whitman. She has a 30-day of free words, and it's free. It doesn't cost anything, and she sends you a little link, and it takes 2 minutes. You watch a little video, but it starts talking about the words should, don't, have to, the words always, and there's a whole list. She goes through 30 days of them, and again, for me, that was honestly one of the biggest catapults in my vocabulary and in how I begin talking to myself and let alone with other people, as we start to share our truth with each other. And so again, just be aware, of everything that you're creating, and don't be afraid to say, I am this, even if you don't feel this. I am excellent at learning languages. In reality, in this current place, in the past, I haven't been, and don't see myself as a good linguistics person. But what I'm going to start telling myself in order to change that pattern to allow myself to become a better linguistics person is I'm going to start saying, wow, I am a fantastic linguistics person. I can speak any language fluently. This is also how we begin to manifest things into our life as well, is by choosing those words very, very carefully. And so we create everything around us by painting the correct picture at this present moment of what we are trying to be.
Yeah, that's a great point. When I started looking at my language and what I was actually saying, so much of my desires, wills, and wants were coming out of my language, and it wasn't beneficial to me or anyone else. So I first looked at what I was saying, evaluated it, and realized that there was a much better way to manifest in my life. So now what I do is I imagine what I want, I think it, and then I begin to speak it. And when I speak it in this way, there's energy, there's creativity behind it, and I can manifest amazing things. Now, I am a manifester just by changing my vocabulary, changing the way I think, and using just simple tools to be able to bring things into my life.
And and it comes, we apply this to every single thing that comes out of our mouths. We say, I feel so misunderstood, I feel lonely, I feel unsupported. And what we want to say is, wow, look at all the love and support that I have around me, even if maybe you're not recognizing it, but it's there. It's just that we have to tune into it and be open to receiving it. And so we just be aware of that, and you're going to catch yourself. And what I find myself doing is I say it, the words come out, they come flying out, and then I go back into my head and I go, oh, I should have repeated. Go back and repeat it in your head the correct way, and then again, each time it gets easier and easier and easier, and it gets faster and faster, and then soon it just becomes more natural and it becomes your everyday vocabulary. I have struggled with the vocabulary of all of this spiritual stuff. I'm not the person who's read a 10,000 books and have studied all of this, and so the vocabulary was really new to me, and I don't hesitate to go and look it up, and or ask somebody about it, and if something doesn't resonate, just leave it, don't worry about it. It's not important for you at that time. Some people are very fluent with their words, and sometimes I get lost in the words and the explanations, and I just ask for help. And so that's what we're all here for, you guys, is to help. You've got, many excellent, you've got, 30, 50,000 people. I don't even know what we're up to in the group these days. But there's a lot of resources now around us. And so we don't have to feel alone. We don't have to feel unsupported. We have guides, we have angels, we have all sorts of people and rooting for us and trying to help us. And so we just need to know that all of that's available too.
Yeah, that's a great point. If you need help, please reach out. That's the whole reason these groups are created. That's why we're here and available, is to help. We all need a little bit more help along this spiritual journey. Your guides, your angels are there, and just manifest in a beautiful way and speak your truth. If you can do that, your life will immediately turn around. At least mine did. Once I changed my vocabulary and the words I used, I was amazed at how my life reflected my new way of being.
Yeah. And pay attention to the things around you. When we get triggered by somebody else, what our natural tendency is we want to be like, wow, that person should have done this better. Or they should have been nicer, or whatever it is. And what we really need to do is change our framework back to ourselves and realize that everything around us is a mirror of us. And so if we're getting triggered by somebody else, it means that there's something within us that needs to be looked at and reflected upon. Christopher McBride, who runs this group, is a excellent mentor. Highly, highly recommend him. He is amazing. But one of the biggest things that helped me, besides changing my words, was realizing that when I react to other things around me and I get upset and I cry or scream and feel terrible, all I'm doing is hurting myself. It has nothing at all to do with the other person. And so I found a lot of power in the words that he gave me, which is I choose not to hurt myself by reacting. And that took a little bit of time to sort of sink in and realize what that actually means, and that it really is this internal process, and that it's you. It really is. It is just you. And as we change how we react to situations, and we also begin to heal the things that are triggering us, then you'll start to notice that everything around you starts to improve. And the other people didn't have to necessarily change anything. You're the one who had to change how you're acting. So it is a journey of self, and we need to stop looking outward and start looking inward, for every part of this. And when if you're in an abusive relationship, or in somebody's really mean, or you can't escape it, or yeah, you're getting taken down by somebody, which we all have those people in our life. After you choose not to react, you then get the choice of whether you want to stay engaged with that person's vibrations or not. This journey involves letting go of just about everything, like literally everything. Unfortunately, that includes letting go of a lot of people in your life that are no longer in alignment with the path that you're trying to fulfill. And that's hard because we hold on to them. We don't want to hurt these people. We feel like we can't we're not going to be okay maybe if we leave that person, or we'll be lonely if we don't have that person. And it turns out not at all. And in fact, when you let go of things, you make so much more space in your heart and in your energy field for new things to flow in. I have so many new family members here that I found through these groups, and I found so many people of similar vibrations. I have an amazing soul tribe who I just love and adore, and I have never felt more loved and supported in my journey or at any time in my life, honestly. And the only way that you get that is by letting go and making room for those things to come in.
It's true. You have to let go of old frameworks, old way of speaking, old way of thinking. I had a great mentor, Jerry Sargent, who basically said, challenge everything. Everything that you've been told, everything that you're telling yourself is has the potential of not being correct. So challenge it. Challenge what you're telling yourself. Challenge your frameworks. Do you believe the world is round? Great. If you do, use it. If not, challenge it. Challenge your dietary situation. Challenge your intuition. Challenge everything. And once it starts to kind of soften and flutter out, and the truth will kind of bubble up through that, and it'll help you better understand not only yourself, but the world around you. Good.
Good.
That's great. What's our next topic, or do we have any questions out there?
Anybody have any questions or topics that they would like discussed, or any burning things? This journey is hard. It's so full of ups and downs, and it will bring you to your lowest points, and you will see parts of yourself that come out that you didn't even think were parts of you, or you've simply just avoided those by just not being around those types of situations. But even those parts, they have to come up, and you will go through the dark night and the highlights, and you'll get amazing energy experiences, and then 2 months later you're at the bottom of the barrel again. And just know that it's a beautiful thing, and it is all happening for you. None of this is to torture you, to make you suffer, to do these things. This is what you picked out for yourself. You chose this journey, you chose these experiences. This is what you wanted to have this time around in this current present moment, in this current present timeline. And so we have to, I recommend changing our frameworks to that of gratitude. And gratitude really is one of the biggest things in all of this, and being grateful for everything around you, being grateful for the challenges, realizing that they're there for you, and there are no mistakes in life. There's only opportunities to learn. And we have to make mistakes in order to have the opportunity to experience something. This whole thing is all about the experience. We're here to just have an experience. It's really nothing more than that. And so you get the opportunity to have that experience. And if you don't learn from it the first time and you stay stuck in it, you're going to spiral. And you're going to keep on spiraling back. And instead of that person, it'll be the next person, but the same exact story, but just a new face. And you'll keep spiraling. And the only way to begin to move forward is to say, great, well, through this experience, I learned this. Through being abused, I gathered strength. I got endurance. I learned, compassion for myself. And so there's something to be had from every single experience, even though it might seem pretty darn crappy. It's still there for you. And when we change our perspectives to that of gratitude instead of something being against us or happening to us, again, everything around you begins to unfold, and we can transmute those energies. We can say, great, I've learned the lesson, and we get to move on. The funny part with that is the universe comes back and tests you a whole bunch of times. So just because you think you passed a lesson, don't panic when it comes back again. Sometimes it's a month later, sometimes it's 2 years later, and you're like, man, and you get all flustered and you're like, and you start to go back into the same patterns that you had the first time. The first defenses start to come up, and then you realize, and I have these conversations with myself all the time, wait, I've done this before. And when I tell myself, hey, you did this before, it's no big deal, you already do this, and you begin to see through it, then instead of being like taken out from it for days or weeks or, some people years, you begin to be able to transmute that energy much faster and faster each time. And then eventually the universe is like, okay, I give up. I see you got it. And sort of the fun is out of it. And they stop sort of bothering with it. And, and then you sort of move on to your next lessons and your next challenges. And ideally over time, hopefully we don't have to go about learning in this way, but part of being in the 3D world is that we get polarity and duality. And so in order to appreciate the good, we also have to experience the other spectrum of it. And that doesn't always have to be that way. We're sort of, we're all working towards higher and different ways of being and learning and new experiences and moving beyond those extremes. But for a lot of us, sort of what Earth is about.
Yeah, absolutely. And you brought up a good point there, Myra, is that self-talk that we have, where we sometimes beat ourselves up, or we sometimes have a negative conversation with ourselves where we say we're not good enough, we didn't do well enough in this situation. And those are the moments where we need to really practice compassion towards ourselves and also use words that are compassionate. So when we do self-talk, this is a great moment for us to use those kind of words and to speak those kind of words that also help us. So telling ourselves that we are good enough, that we are able to understand linguistics, or we are great at listening, or whatever it is, that reinforcing of using that proper language inside of us makes huge differences. So remember, if you come into a situation that maybe you didn't want or was difficult or you're going through it a second time, remember to be compassionate with yourself. And so we've been working on compassion recently and defining it. And what it really means is an understanding of the emotion. It means being able to relate to someone, including ourselves, when they're going through a situation, whether it's good or bad. So if you're going through a bad situation, show yourself some compassion, relate to those emotions, but also step out and say, hey, I see that I'm beating myself up, I'm angry with myself. Instead, I'm going to show myself a little bit of compassion. I'm going to say, it's all right, you've done this once before. I still love you. You're doing amazing. You're not doing perfect in my mind, but you're doing great. You're doing the best you can. And then switch into that gratitude. Hey, I'm thankful for this lesson. Thankful for this opportunity to try this again. And what you'll find is by doing this process and understanding these words and this self-talk is it gets easier and easier. And every time you do it, you're going to lift your energy a little higher. And then this duality of good and bad, light and dark, praise and blame, as we do this, we actually start to pull ourselves out of it and we remove ourselves from the duality that can be so present in the 3D world. So it's a great first step to get out of that duality.
Yeah, and that brings up a good point. Self-talk is super important. So again, it comes back to those words that we use with ourselves. But saying mantras is key. There's times where I say things, sometimes 100 times a day, but use the terms. I am deserving. I am supported. If you're manifesting abundance into your life, money finds me in unexpected ways. I always have more than what I need. And so again, that comes back to those words, but these mantras work. And so we want to say them and speak them into existence so that we can create our next reality. And focusing on the present is really the key to all of this. And so remember, nothing in the past matters. Not one single thing from the past matters. It doesn't matter from this timeline. It doesn't matter from another timeline. The only thing that matters is the now.
Right here.
Right now. The future is beyond our control. All that's going to do is cause you anxiety. You're going to try to control it. It puts out all these worries. The only thing that matters is right this moment. What do you smell right now? Take a moment and just pause and just be. Watch a leaf fall from the tree, go sit in the grass and just feel the blades of the grass beneath you, walk barefoot, feel the moisture on the grass blades as you walk through it. But everything is about the present moment. And it's hard because we've been so ingrained, worry about the past, and we're our toughest critics and we beat ourselves up for everything in our past. And we just need to let that all go. You wouldn't be here right now if you hadn't gone through all of that. And the only thing that matters is that you're here at this present moment. You are here realizing that there is something more to all of this. And that maybe the things that we've been taught are a little lackluster these days. And, there's maybe a little bit more to what we've been led to believe that we are. We are so much more than just 5 senses, We are beings of energy. We as humans are the Stargate keepers. We have more power inside of us than we've ever thought. And as we begin to realize who we are and we focus on the present and we let everything else go, that's how we begin to unfold and gain access to all that we are.
That's a good segue into our next session as well. So Myra brought up our 5 senses. So our 5 senses are a great way to pull us into the present moment. We hear things, we see things, we smell things, we taste things, and we feel things. We can use those to always be brought back into the present moment. Now, our next topic is intuition, or our 6th in ability. Now, I've been told recently that this is actually number 1, because when we're in our mother's womb, we have our intuition. When we come out, we have our intuition. We have this innate ability inside of us that is another sense that we can listen to and it'll never steer us wrong. So it's another one of our senses that we need to start cultivating and really putting focus on to develop our spiritual practice and our spiritual gifts and tools because so many of these are linked to our intuition. Now, for me, what intuition means is it's my connection to my higher self, where my higher self speaks to me and tells me where I need to be, what I need to be doing. It's all very present in this moment, but I am basically being told or given this beautiful gift through my intuition. Ducks and birds use it to travel north and south. Dogs use it to be able to find their way home. Animals have not lost this innate connection to their intuition, but we as humans, we're being told that it doesn't exist. It isn't important and we don't need to cultivate it. And I would push back a little bit on that and say, spend some time. The best way that I have found to connect with my intuition is by first moving into my heart, just being really soft in my heart, and then lowering the amount of mental noise in my brain. So I've always just done this with meditation, sitting awareness meditation. You can do it with anything. The key is to have a quiet mind and be in your heart and listen. And that's when intuition will come to you.
I would take it a little bit further. We actually have three different intuition centers. We have our gut, we have our heart, and we have our mind up here. And so I think Jason's referring a little bit more to the part up in here. But I think of intuition, some of us have much stronger intuition centers naturally. And I think of it more as your gut instinct. It's your first reaction. It's that very first feeling that you get before your mind jumps in and wants to start putting its input in. So like you go past something, you get that warning sign, like don't do something. Learn to tune into that. Learn to tune into the instincts. That is your intuition. It's your core, it's your heart, it's your truth that's inside. Your body knows or I should say, your heart knows the way if we follow it. And we just have to catch on to this before this part jumps in. Once this part jumps in, then we're all hemming and hawing and we start second guessing ourselves and we do that. It's like when you're in grade school or, back in school and you're taking little tests, you always go with like your first instinct. You don't change it from there. And when you do, usually the answer, you had it right the first time. This is exactly that same way, but it's learning to just listen to that first little twinge, that little feeling that's inside of you, that little voice inside that first speaks up. Again, it's the very first thing. It's that nanosecond of thought. That's what's really guiding you, and that's what we need to tap into. And when we learn how to trust that and we start to follow that and we start coming from our heart, then amazing things start to happen around us. And then we find out that we're really guided to all that we're seeking. The thing that's distracting us from all having everything that we want in life is this part. And so we need to learn how to turn that off and get back into our heart. And the kids coming in these days have different centers within inside of them. So a lot of us are born or are developed, and we have what's called the chakra systems that most of us are familiar with. And chakras served us well. And now there's something called these transmission centers, which involves starting from your head. You have your Christ self, and then you have your stellar gateway and your soul gateway, and then your causal gateways. And then you move to your crown and your third eye and your throat, and then we come into our heart. And then you have your solar, your solar, and then your navel, and then your sacral, and then you go down to your base, and at the bottom of your feet is your earth star. And the people born after 2004 are much more came in with these new transmission centers. That's why they're a little different than some of us in the older generation. So the people in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and 60s, we came with the chakra systems, and the new kids coming in have these transmission centers, and so they're already functioning from their heart. And again, that's why sometimes it seems like they're so much more in tune these days with sort of what's going on a lot in the spiritual world and different things than maybe what we had growing up. And so just realize that we're built a little bit differently, but we can change our chakra systems and we can upgrade ourselves to these transmission centers. It takes time, and you want to activate your transmission centers daily. I can certainly post a picture of that and a diagram that shows which planets are associated with that. There's 13 planets, not the 12 that we've been following this whole time. Ophiuchus is the snake. He's the snake, but he's also in charge of the Christ Self Center.
Yeah,
Um,
the 13th.
yeah, the 13th one. And so, real interesting stuff, but it also explains why maybe different generations are not relating to some of these younger generations and why some of them seem so different from us. And the new kids coming in, like brand new babies, they're even different than us. Don't be surprised when they're talking and walking by age, 6 to 12 months, and that their development is much different than what we've ever experienced before. And so, those parents out there with young kids, be soft, be gentle, accept them, and just realize that, yeah, they're not quite. They might be a little bit different than what we're used to. And they're paving the way, and they're here to help be a part of this new amazing world that we're all co-creating together.
Absolutely. Now, one technique that you can use to help you get more in tune with your intuition is a three-part process. So, when energies come into us or feelings come into us, we normally take them first into our heart. And if we're wired or programmed through the third dimension, usually it goes straight from your heart all the way up to your head. And then when it gets into your head, you immediately become logical about it. So it comes into your head and you're logical. And one thing that you can do as you start to activate your intuition is let those feelings come into your heart, but then push them down. Push them down into your gut so that your gut can actually tell you what to do. Myra talked about gut intuition or your gut feeling. Well, one part of this process is actually activating your gut. So allow feelings to come into your heart, push them down to your gut to get that gut feeling. Once you have that gut feeling that won't steer you wrong, then you can push it back up to your mind. And once it's in your mind can figure out problems, it can solve things, and then it can help you with whatever that situation is. Good example of this, you see burning building. You allow it to come into your heart, then you push it down to your gut feeling. What's your gut feeling? Are you going to call the police? Are you going to run for water? Well, you get that gut feeling that tells you the correct action. Then you allow that emotion or that feeling to come up to your brain, and you let your brain go and you say, direct me. Please figure out this puzzle. And it'll be like, oh, all right, I just need to dial 911 or dial the fire department. So as you're practicing it, allow it to come into your heart, push it down, get that gut feeling, and then activate your mind. We're not asking people to cut their heads off because their minds are outdated and bad. We're just saying, let's put it into the correct order, and that way we can use all of our skills and abilities that we have.
Okay, we have a couple questions there. So I'm going to go down. Hello, everybody. And thanks you for watching us and taking some time to learn today, hopefully, a couple little things. So Annalie mentions that, yeah, I agree. Too much love and light doesn't always work in an abusive situation. It's a natural instinct to want to defend yourself. And it's it's definitely a natural instinct to want to defend ourselves. But what we realize is, as we begin to release expectations of other people, so one of the things that we're working towards as we raise our density and our dimension is releasing expectations. And so when we begin to release expectations of others, then it also frees up our ability in the realizing that we don't have to defend ourselves either. And so instead of putting the energy into defending yourself, go in and just say the words. And I'm not kidding. I sometimes, a year ago, was saying to myself, I choose not to hurt myself by reacting. I choose not to hurt myself by reacting. I choose not to hurt myself by engaging with this person. Walk away, take a breath, do whatever you need to do. But realize that any time that you react, it really is just, it's only hurting you. And if you feed energy into that situation, whether you feel like it's good energy because you're defending yourself and you're not letting yourself get trampled on, it is still just energy being fed into it. And so then you're only feeding it even more and allowing that cycle to continue. What we want to do is diffuse it and realize that put all the energy back into you, and just don't even engage, and just walk away if you have to. Later on, you can come back and choose again what you want to ultimately do with that person. If you are in an abusive relationship, it takes a lot of courage and a lot of strength to say, to walk away from that. But you have that power, and you are a badass warrior who can do anything. And walk away. Just walk away and don't worry about them. You don't owe them anything. You don't owe anybody else anything. You are going to do the most by helping yourself in all situations first. We're so much more effective if we take care of us before we start worrying about everybody else. And that doesn't make you selfish. It actually makes you more effective, in the long run. And again, that's another hard framework to change with that.
I would agree. And a little bit more about that. So, when you're put into situations, what you can do is you can either react or you can act. And what we're talking about here is living in the moment through action. So, rather than being triggered and immediately react by defending yourself or trying to speak, instead, let that feeling come in, bring it into your heart, acknowledge your gut action or your gut um, ability in that situation, and then push it up to your brain. So if you're in an abusive relationship and someone starts yelling at you, bring it into your heart. What's your gut action or reaction? And then move it up to your brain. And then instead of reacting, just act. And whether that action is verbal or kinesthetic, where you just walk away. And I have often found that when I get into these types of situations, normally what I'll do, listen, let it come into my heart, push it down to my gut, come up into my brain, and then I'll begin speaking my truth. However, in those moments, a lot of times the other person isn't going to let you speak your truth. They don't want you to debate them. They only want to be right normally. So it's in those moments that you get the choice to take another action. And so if I find that when I'm speaking and I'm not actually being heard, then what I'll do is just take a pause and I let the other person know, hey, I love you. I also love myself. So I'm going to take a break. I love myself enough that I just need to walk away, calm back down, come back into my heart. I would encourage you to do the same, and let's come back together in a few moments and try this again. As Myra alluded to earlier, there are people in our lives who will never get this. It's just not part of their purpose and their plan. So if you do come back together and they're back to yelling and being abusive in your face, then you have that choice to take the action to let that person go. And it's not always an easy action. However, after the hours, days, weeks, and years, you're going to be grateful and thankful that you did. Because people who take your energy and pull you down aren't the kind of people who are going to lift you up. So make sure to surround yourself with people who raise your energy and are there for you.
Yeah. And Annalie, I just put a little something I had written, when you talked about, it's hard to send love to an abusive person. And I put a little paragraph below that's worth reading, I think, because there has to be somebody for every role in your life. And so when we think of them, we don't we have unconditional love for everybody. We don't judge anybody, and we should have respect for all of the roles, even if the thing that we learn from them is how not to be. And so, but there
Mm,
has to be a person for every role in your life. And so we need to say, thank you for choosing to be that role for me so that I can learn this. Because remember, this is all you. You are the only person in your universe. Everything around you is for you. And so when we begin to change those frameworks and our perspectives, we can learn how to let go of um, the hate or the dislike or the disrespect that we have, that builds up when we encounter people that are maybe that we don't like to be around. But remember, they're there for you still. And so I am trying to change my frameworks and say, thank you. Thank you for helping me to realize how not to be.
mm.
Thank you for teaching me this, that that's not what I want in my life. And so again, there's just it's a matter of just adjusting the frameworks and perspective. So I wrote a good thing, and I hope you take a second to just take a look at that, anybody who's there. Let's see what other questions we have here in the last like 10 minutes.
And let's make sure to read the questions rather than just jump in and answer them as well. That way, everyone knows what we're
Yeah.
talking about.
And so Brittany, yeah, you were told to be near water. Yeah, water is important. So the value of she was hearing yesterday that she needed to be near water.
Mm,
Water is an important element, not only for our bodies, but it teaches us flow, most importantly. And so the value of water is it teaches us to flow around the obstacles. And I know as soon as I go near a creek, near an ocean, near any body of water, it instantly calms me. It helps ground me. It recenters me. And it teaches me that even in the midst of obstacles, I don't have to get stopped by them. And, all I have to do is just flow around them. And that's an important value that we learn from water. And so if you're being told to go near water, it's because you're being told to flow, and to be like water and pick up those attributes. And it's again that you're going to need that calmness. So yeah, find some water wherever it's at and go. If you're being told, don't that again, trust that intuition. That is your guidance. That's your things telling you you need this. And so act on it. And don't be afraid to go out of your comfort zone for anything that you're told to do. The more we push our comfort zones, the more we grow, actually. And so if you find you're stuck and you are in a rut, do something new, do something different, do something that you wouldn't normally do. And suddenly it opens up and allows for the energy to start flowing again within.
agreed. And a little bit more about water. So much of us is made of water that anything that we can do positively with our interaction with water automatically impacts us. So, water is not only going through our body, around our cells, but also in our cells. And so, if we create beautiful sacred geometry in the water that we drink, we're able to reprogram ourselves with that beautiful structure. Another technique that you can do with water for reprogramming, and this is a neat one that we just came across a few months ago that works really well, is if you want to release a framework or release a way of thinking in you, you can go in your mind and say, okay, I want to release this, and then put your head in water. Actually, just hold your nose, dunk yourself in a tub, in a sink.
Well, don't hold your nose even, but yeah.
Yeah,
Try.
I don't like water at my nose, but go into the water and let go of that programming and fill it with something new. Say, I am not a good listener. I want to be a better listener. And then dunk your head in water
I am a great listener.
and reprogram yourself with that water. Try it. It is amazingly effective. It's
Yeah.
definitely an advanced technique, and we now do it
I do.
everywhere.
I do it all the time. You come
Yeah.
across a creek somewhere, or you see a little tiny waterfall. I just go pull up my hair and just stick it right in there. Put your bare feet in too. Water helps heal us. It is one of the most magical, wonderful forces and elements out there, and it is just necessary to our beingness. But yeah, there's a lot of lessons to be learned from water, and a lot of benefits to our energy from being around water. And so yeah, get to the water.
Get to the water and
Yeah.
drink more water as we're on this spiritual path.
We talked
And
about that.
Yeah, well, I'm just
Yeah.
reiterating it because it is so important. If you want to change your life, drink more water and drink better water as well.
Yeah. So we have about 5 minutes left. Is
About
there?
2 minutes.
Yeah, Brittany, pushing out of the comfort zone is really the biggest thing. I know I was in a big rut 2 years ago, and um, being in a challenging relationship at those times, and is that sort of one of those low points, um, and I had always thought about. I had seen the harmonium being played one time,
Mm.
and I had thought about it a year prior, and I was like, that's something I would want to do, and I had a little bit of free time that suddenly came up, and I was like, so I said that day, I was like, you know what? I'm going to learn how to go play the harmonium. I am not musically inclined. Although I'm going to say now I am musically inclined because we're not supposed to use those words. But back in those days, that was the framework I was still using. But I am not musically inclined. And I went in that day, and it turned out I found a class playing in town or playing starting, and it started in 2 days. So that day I went, I bought a harmonium, started my class, and through that experience it opened up my throat chakra because I had felt like I was being strangled and I had no voice and wasn't able to speak. And so I went, and by doing this and breaking out of my comfort zone, I was able to learn. The harmonium is a beautiful instrument. Not only are you sort of playing like a piano in a different way, you're also learning to speak a different language at the same time. So it was really expansive. And through that, I met a wonderful person who then opened up another door in my life, which then turned to another door in my life. And it just escalated and set up this whole magnificent like line of events, all because I chose to do something outside of my comfort zone. So I always say if you're in a rut and you're feeling like the same mundane things, you're not sure, and you're like, just do something new, do a new hobby, do a new activity, do something too, especially on the other side of your brain. So for
Mm.
us right hand people, use the left hand side. If you're a left hand side, use your right hand side. Try to pick something that pushes those connections, and I will promise you it will make magic for you. It will release things that need to be released and will open up for new energies to come in and the new vibrations to find you. But again, you have to choose yourself and you have to be able to push yourself.
Well said. Yeah, getting out of your comfort zones is always difficult for the first step, but after that, it's not that hard anymore, and it does make huge changes in your life as well.
Yeah.
We are just kind of coming to the end of our
Yeah,
hour here.
I
Go
got one
ahead.
second. There was one last question on sort of how to help with anxiety. Anxiety is a hard one. Anxiety is
Mm.
about control. And so that comes back to sort of worrying about the future. When you release any expectations of the future, and you release that control of the future, then we can sort of start, the anxiety begins to go away. And so, one of the best tricks for anxiety is bringing yourself to the present moment and taking 3 deep breaths. So, whenever you start to feel something coming on, and let's just all take 3 breaths right now together. So, let's just breathe in and hold it, and then exhale and breathe in and out. And one more. And so, whenever we begin to feel worked up about anything, breathing is the most important. It really does bring us back. And we don't want to breathe from our chest, we want to breathe from our belly. We want to get a good, nice, deep belly breath. And when we do that, it slows everything down and gives us just a second to pause. And if we're feeling anxious, ask yourself, what am I really feeling anxious about? What am I holding on to? What idea, what philosophy, what framework is this arising from? And start giving it awareness. And as we begin to give awareness, we begin to allow for the healing, the transmutation of that energies, and we begin to be able to let go of it. And again, it takes practice, and you catch yourself the next time it comes up. And again, you say, oh, yeah, breathe. What am I really reacting to? What's really triggering me? And then where is this coming from? And then soon enough, it starts fading away, and letting go. And yeah, but it takes practice and it's hard work. But yeah, focusing on the present moment and really trying to tune out that outer child versus our inner child and listening to where it's really coming from, not the superficial nonsense that our brain likes to interject with. So, yeah, good question.
Yeah, great answer. I love
Yeah.
that.
Thank you,
Beautiful.
everybody. Really appreciate everyone being here. Um, Let me just make sure there wasn't anything else.
Perfect. Well, I would like to reiterate it. I'm so grateful for everyone joining us. This is beautiful that we can share with you what we're going through in this present moment and our spiritual journey as well as we travel around this amazing planet. Today we're here in Sedona, Arizona with amazing energy and it's really high vibrational. But it's nice to be able to share this with everyone. So I'm so grateful.
Yeah, we took a big leap. We left all of regular life, regular jobs, and listened to our intuition and our hearts and what the universe was guiding for us, and left everything, and was told to go out in the universe and just hit the road and just be us. And so we're doing that, and we were told we'd be provided for if that happened. And sure enough, by trusting and letting go of everything and releasing the fear about money and releasing the fear about just
Homes and
of
grounding,
everything, and it is amazing. Life is so amazing if you let it be that way, and if you are willing to create that for yourself. Remember, you are the most powerful thing in the entire universe, and there is nothing that you cannot do. There is no impossibilities. We are here to show what's possible. And so, if you guys would like to talk about anything further, you're more than welcome to reach out to us. I'm Myra Gertis. This is Jason Gertis. You
Always
can find
available.
us on there. Just hit us up or PM us. We do have a page or business that we're starting, Atlas Dimensional Healing, where we just go out and people join us wherever we are on our travels and spend time with us and working on spiritual transformations. So, yeah. So anyways, just, yeah, thank you so much. And we are so grateful. And thank you for being a part of our family and our journey, allowing us this opportunity to be us and to learn how to speak this new language and this new life, because it's not easy. It's not. Anybody who says it's easy is full of it. It is freaking hard.
And it takes a community, it takes support. And
Yeah.
we're here, and so is the rest of the group. So find someone who helps you, find someone who speaks to you, and then ask questions.
Yeah, you're not alone. It feels lonely because maybe you don't have somebody in your community, but I will tell you, all my greatest friends are not even somebody I've ever met, but man, they're closer to me, and I can talk to them about anything, and I've never risked feeling judged or, anything for anything that I'm going through. So be open. Yeah, it's tough. We love you.
It's a beautiful journey. Enjoy the ride.
The question. Good. All right. Let me just double check everything. Okay. Yeah, Brittany, that's really great. I like your statement in there about the anxiety. 100% agree with that. So, yeah. So again, reach out to us if you guys have any other questions or topics or anything. We're here for you. This is what we're here to do. As we learn, we start to help the next person next to us, and it just keeps spreading. Be the light, be the example, and yeah, don't be afraid to speak your truth, but make sure that your truth is coming from your heart and not from up in here. There's a lot to this. Yeah, we love you guys, and thank you for being here. Thank you for being aware and being a conscious being. It takes a lot. You're not alone. Yeah. Love you.
Thank you, everyone. Love you.